Welcome to Modern Motoring. Welcome to the 2025 Toyota Prius. Now, yes, this is a carryover model, but it's still important to go through because, well, the fuel consumption is incredibly low and the Prius has won a ton of awards. So in case you are looking for a 2025, doing some research, let's go through some stuff, usual stuff here. We'll go through numbers, perks, quirks, and irks, and touch on pricing. So still a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, combined horsepower is 196. It has Toyota's eCVT, and it runs through an all-wheel drive system. So good for year-round conditions, especially if you're in Canada and, well, there's lots of rain and sleet and snow and all the temperature conditions here. It's a 40-liter fuel tank, and the combined liters per 100 kilometers brings in at 4.8, so you can go up to, mathematically, 833 kilometers on a full tank. You'll probably get a little more if you are, let's say, very careful and strategic with how hard you accelerate. So I'm doing something nice and gentle off the line, so again, that helps bring up your total potential for distance traveled per tank. Let's go through the perk side of things, and first up is the Prius drove extremely well for this generation when it came out, and it still does so now. It's not a lot of power, but it's the right amount of power considering what the vehicle is and the class of the size, and it's not a sedan, it's not a crossover, and it's a hatchback. Just simply put, the glass goes up when you open up the trunk lid, and that gives you your hatchback side. So if you're looking for explosive power, look somewhere else in the Toyota lineup. But if you want something that is extremely good on fuel and has respectable driving dynamics. Now, it is small, it is low, so cornering handling is done extremely well. You know, don't rip this around twists and turns at excessive speeds. But again, for what it is, and being so low to the ground and practically being a wedge, you do get exceptional cornering and handling here. Another perk is the multiple awards the Prius has won. It's not just one, so Car of the Year, North American Car of the Year design, and all sorts of top picks here, there, and everywhere across the world. It's an IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus as well. So some people don't take much merit in awards, but for such an awarded car, for this generation, and it's only 3 years in, 23, 24, 25, Toyota's doing something right here, and I think it's helped sell a ton of these Priuses. There's plenty of standard safety here with Toyota's Safety Sense 3.0. Your front's covered, your rear is covered, your sides are covered, and, well, across the two trims, I'm happy that they included Safety Sense 3.0 on both, as opposed to just the higher limited trim. So if safety is your thing, Toyota's absolutely got you covered. For something with a small footprint, the 575 liters of cargo space is pretty good. It's not huge or cavernous by any means, but for groceries, maybe a set of golf bags or a guitar or an amp, or just, you know, smaller items in smaller quantities, the Prius has you covered. And there's also some underfloor storage as well for smaller things that you don't want to be seen by strangers. Let's jump on to the quirk side of things, and the instrument cluster being pushed so far back was quirky for me when I first saw this generation of it, and it's still a little quirky now. A lot of the newer cars have that dual 12.3-inch sets of screens, and it's in line and it's flush, but here the infotainment system is, you know, within hand's reach, and the instrument cluster again being so far pushed back towards the glass. I like it, I have no problems with it, but I definitely see a lot of quirks in the design, and not many vehicles have such a big gap between the instrument cluster and the infotainment system. The shape of the Prius overall, and I mentioned it earlier, but it's pretty much a wedge, and it's got such a steep angle for the windshield, and yes, that contributes to getting such amazing and excellent fuel consumption. But it's it kind of futuristic a little bit, at least that's what I thought in 23 when it first came out. I've seen a lot of them on the road in the past 2 years, so you know, not as novelty-esque as it was when I first saw it, but it's a definite quirky design that, you know, supercars have. and you don't really expect to see that kind of stuff on a mainstream vehicle, especially not something at a lower cost and price point. But I like the shape. I like it thoroughly, completely. It is very cool and very quirky. The last quirk is that there's an available digital rear view mirror on the top limited trim, and I'm not really sure why, because it's a smaller vehicle. The rear view mirror is pretty big and the rear glass is fair sized. On the ERC side of things, there's really nothing to dislike here aside from the fact that there is no rear wiper. And I know I just finished saying that there's steep angles and not much crap will get kicked on, but I think anything that has rear glass that lifts, as in a hatchback, should have a rear wiper. Now, there was a Scion sedan that had a rear wiper years and years and years ago, but I think that there should be one here just in case, right? It's not so much for the rain, but it's more for the snow and dirt and that kind of stuff. And yes, I know you can just get a bottle of Rain-X and do the same thing, but I think just making it easier for drivers by having a rear wiper is the way to go. I'm reaching a little bit with my last ERC, but I'm gonna put something else other than one in here. So it's pretty low to the ground, and some people may not like it being so low, and some people may have a hard time getting in and out of such a low vehicle. And again, it's a reaching ERC, but I don't know if Toyota could have made it taller. I think if they did, they're kind of tapping into Corolla or Corolla Cross territory, not to such an extreme as making it a subcompact crossover. But I think if I had some mobility issues, the older I get in life, I may look elsewhere in the Toyota lineup aside from the Prius, despite how good it is overall. But if it's going to be a chore for me to get in and out of all the time, that kind of takes away some of the allure of it. Let's get wrapped up with pricing, and there are two trims. So this is your Canadian MSRP figure. The XLE comes in at $38,365, and then if you want the Limited, which is the top and only other trim, that's going to run you $44,480. Again, the Canadian MSRP figures. So it's priced well. Yes, there's the Prius Prime, which they're not calling the Prime anymore. It's just a plug-in hybrid. So there's that. Now that is a little more pricey, but you get the electric range and all that. But back to this, if you are looking at the Limited over the XSE, some things you'll get are the cooled seats, the digital rear view mirror. You'll get 2 extra speakers. You'll get a 12.3-inch infotainment system versus an 8-inch, and a few other things. So depends on what your needs and wants are. I don't think there's a wrong choice here with the Prius, but again, it's totally up to you. Back to my mild ERC, if you are looking at something a little taller, but you still want something from Toyota and you still want it to be a hybrid, the top trim Corolla Cross hybrid, the XSE, comes in at $38,635, so a few $100s more than the entry level being the XLE Prius. So I don't know how many people are actually cross-shopping those. I think if you want a Prius, you want a Prius. And with the Corolla Cross hybrid, fuel consumption is about a liter more on average per 100 kilometers combined. So there's no shortage of hybrids in the Toyota lineup. I'm not going to get into everything else. There's also the Corolla sedan as a hybrid as well, if you're looking for something, again, small, compact, lower price point, really low fuel consumption. So to wrap things up, Prius is still a fantastic offering if you're looking for something that's easy to get into price-wise, not necessarily physically, and you want something that has extremely low fuel consumption and kind of something on the quirky side as far as looks go, and a little quirky on the inside too. That's going to wrap it up for the 2025 Toyota Prius. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to get you answers as soon as possible, and I'm always happy to engage in respectful conversations online. I invite you to join the Modern Motoring social media platforms. We are on all of the major ones, and without you, there is no Modern Motoring, so I thank you, I appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.